I was a brat growing up. My parents were the most permissive you ever saw. They let me get away with anything. They gave me anything I wanted. I had a wonderful life with them. At least I thought so. I never did well in school. I didn't really care. I had people to see, places to go, things to do. Besides, what did it matter? It was only 8th grade. I thought that I was a big deal. By a certain age, I was spoiled rotten. It was summer vacation. I loved summer. It was my chance to catch up on TV shows I missed and play video games that I loved. It was also a chance to sleep late and not have to deal with those annoying teachers. One day, as I was watching a rerun of Mad About You, my mother walked into the room. "Danny, we need to talk," she said in her quiet voice. "Not now, at the commercial, and for the last time, call me Dan," was my polite response to her. When the commercial came on, she resumed. "Dan, we need to talk." "Yeah, what?" "Your report card came in today." "Big deal." "Who cares?" "I'm worried about you, Dan, you didn't do so well." "What's the big deal?" "It's only school." "School is important, Dan, you finished junior high and it's time to look into high schools. At this rate, none of the good schools will take you." "So what?" "So, I called your Aunt Christine to see what help I should give you." "Who's Aunt Christine?" "I never heard of her." "She is my sister. We grew up together. She lives all the way down in Alabama." "Okay, now will you be quiet, my show's back on." I yelled. She patiently waited for the episode to finish and then shut the TV off. "What the hell did you do that for?" I screamed. "I need you to pay attention to this. Are you listening?" "Yeah, whatever." "Well, your aunt suggested that I send you to live with her. She says she knows some very good schools that would take you. Is that okay with you?" "Yeah, whatever. Can you turn the TV back on now?" Needless to say, I wasn't really listening. It is at this moment that I should mention something else about me. Since I was 2 years old, I never wore anything with buttons on it. I never knew why. Just when I was 2, I said, "No more buttons." My parents let me do it. I never thought about it. All my clothes were button-free and I was happy. My pants had an elastic waist and my shirts were of the turtleneck variety. I didn't think about the conversation I had with my mother that day, I just continued to watch TV and play video games. One day, my mother woke me up early. She told me that it was time for me to go to Alabama to visit my Aunt Christine. I didn't remember the conversation and was very confused. When I asked about luggage, I was confused even more. I was told that Aunt Christine said I wouldn't need anything and she would have everything I needed. The flight was uneventful. My mother had given me a photo of Aunt Christine. I looked at it all through the flight. I wondered what kind of person she was. She looked nice. She looked pretty too. The plane landed and I went out into the main terminal. I looked around and there was a woman holding up a sign that read, "Danny." She looked like the photo I had. She was about 6 foot, had shoulder-length blonde hair, and dressed very conservatively. She was wearing a white blouse, black tie, black blazer, and black skirt. She also wore pantyhose and high heels. Nervously, I approached her. "Aunt Christine," I ventured. She looked down at me, paused and said in a friendly tone, "Ah, you must be Danny. I've heard a lot about you. Come with me to the car." I didn't know what else to do, so I went with her. Something in her tone compelled me to obey. When we were in the car, I ventured some questions. "Do you have cable?" I asked. "No." "You better get it for me." I snapped. There was a sudden chill in her voice, all previous friendliness gone from her voice. "Are you giving me an order, young man? Need I remind you of your place, and I am in charge here?" You will not order me again. Is that clear? Yes, Aunt Christine, I replied. The rest of the trip to my new home was spent in silence. We pulled into the driveway of a nice 2-story white house. It seemed pretty standard to me. I followed her in. There was nothing outstanding about the interior. It seemed like home. Aunt Christine gave me the grand tour of the house. 2 bathrooms, 1 upstairs, 1 downstairs, bedrooms upstairs, both hers and mine, kitchen, dining room, and living room. She told me to sit down in the living room, which I did. She sat down across from me and said, "Danny, we need to talk about the rules of this house." "Okay," I replied. "Now, Danny, this can either be a pleasant experience, or it can be an unpleasant one. The choice will be entirely up to you." I was puzzled. Okay. But, could you please call me Dan? You want to be called Dan? Yes. I won't call you Dan. You will always be Danny. Danny is a child's name, that is what you are, is it not? I'm not a child, I replied indignantly. Are you old enough to drink? No. Are you old enough to vote? No. Has your voice changed? No. Then you are a child. As a child in this house, I expect obedience from you, is that clear? Yes. You will be in bed by 10 o'clock every night, regardless if it is a weeknight or not. Your homework should be done by then. 10 o'clock? That's too early. At home, I get to stay up until midnight. This isn't home with your parents. You will abide by my rules now. And if I don't, I will spank you. You can't do that. I was never spanked before. I didn't want to find out what it felt like at all. But, I was sure she was bluffing. I can, and I will when the situation warrants it. I have enrolled you into a very good private school. 99% of its students go to the best universities. They practice corporal punishment as well. Corporal punishment? I was unfamiliar with the term. It means that they can spank you at school. And, if you get a spanking at school, you will get one at home from me too. I also expect only straight A's from you. Do you follow? Yes. I was growing more nervous by the second. I don't like what you are wearing at all. Please remove your garments. I was unsure of what to do. Something didn't feel at all right. I obeyed. Soon my t-shirt and elastic waistland shorts were on the floor next to me. I sat down again. You won't be needing these anymore, Aunt Christine said, and without another word, picked up my discarded clothes and left the room with them. A few minutes later, she re-entered, without my clothes. What the hell did you make me do that for? I shouted. I felt very angry about what had happened. Give me back my clothes. You will not be wearing those vile clothes while you live in my house. Don't swear, and this is the last time I will warn you about giving me orders. School starts in less than a week. I bought a uniform for you and I would like to make sure it fits you. I want you to put it on. She walked to a nearby closet and produced what would be my school uniform. The school uniform consisted of a white button-down shirt, black blazer, black tie, black slacks, and black shoes. Needless to say, the majority of this clothing had buttons. Something I never wear. I looked at the uniform, then I looked at her. She was waiting expectantly.